Hey, Nick, we need a tagline for the podcast.
No.
Real life opinions. Movie reviews told by fans and not critics.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Well, Corey, we survived Judgment Day.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, yay!
Yeah, don't be so happy about life and existence, okay? Like, did you really want our machine overlords to take over the world?
I mean, let's be honest. Look the way AI is going right now. It may not be 1997, but it's coming.
In the distant future, 1997.
Yeah. I was like in, I think it was the first X-Men movie. It's like the not too distant future, and it's like modern day.
Yeah.
Damn it, we're old. Back to the Future 2 has already happened.
It didn't even have like cell phones like how we have them today, and like. No. I'm guessing everyone knows what we're doing today. Anybody that listens to the podcast, I guess. Corey, are you excited for this one?
I am indescribably excited. This is my excited face, actually.
That's your excited face,
Yeah.
eh?
No, greatest movie of all time, as per me.
Should we tell them which movie that is?
No, they have to
So,
guess.
they have
Plus,
to
if they're
guess.
clicking this, the picture's there.
Well, like, yeah, but
Fine, we'll tell them. Again, the greatest movie of all time, Terminator 2, Judgment Day.
not Electric Boogaloo.
It's a close second.
It's a close second, eh? For me, it's definitely not. I think I always liked the movie, but it's never been on my upper echelons like it is for you. It was definitely a fun rewatch, though.
This movie redefined my life. I watched it in the theaters. I snuck in because it was, of course, rated R, and I was only 9 years old when this movie came out. And wait, it's right, 12 years old when this came out.
God, you're old.
Right, and what's it called? I taped it off Super Channel when that was still a thing. I had it on VHS.
Super
Oh yeah,
Channel?
oh yeah.
I love Super Channel.
Super Channel was the bomb, man. And then
Nobody I knew, like, we didn't have cable back where I grew up. We were way too far out in the sticks.
you had your Channel 3 and the rabbit ears.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I could, like, I'd go one direction, I get the Edmonton stations, I'd switch the rabbit ears the other side, and I get the Calgary stations.
Foil on the end of them.
Yeah. But I remember going to my cousin's house and getting, like, a staticky super station. I was just like,
That's not action movies you were watching.
wow.
Sometimes it was.
Oh,
But yeah, I had it on Super Channel, had it on VHS, had it on DVD, have it on Blu-ray, have it on 4K, had posters, had figures, had this movie was my
Laserdisc?
life. I almost did. I never did get a Laserdisc player. I almost did, but luckily the fad was over just as soon as it started pretty well. So
I'm pretty sure this was like the biggest Laserdisc movie of all time. Like, it would have came out right at that Laserdisc
at that
time.
prime, yeah. So
Yeah. And like anybody that was like a big movie nerd was buying this movie.
yeah. No, and the toys were fantastic because half the toys had nothing to do with the movie. Like they had like one where you can get an Arnold figure in a camo suit. I'm like, what? Where do you see this?
I don't even remember the toys for this movie.
Oh,
like,
I can tell you like 50 different toys that came out in this movie. So, but yeah, there was so many toys. There was this one you could get. It was like a little plastic robot Terminator, and it was a little thing, and you put like this sort of like fake skin in it, and you put it together, and it actually put like an Arnold body on it, and it could like tear away type thing, and yeah, they market. That was a kind of an ongoing joke with this movie is they marketed this movie for kids, and it was a hard R movie.
oh yeah, it
So-
was like it did not shy away from the R rating at
No.
all.
And I mean, honestly, the gore wasn't even that bad. It was just Linda Hamilton's mouth.
She curses.
She
A lot
she made
in this-
me blush. So not really. Anyway,
So, most unbelievable part of this whole movie is the ginger friend.
yeah, I read that. It's like the most hardest part to believe in this movie is that the ginger kid who was John's friend actually had a friend. Oh,
Time travel, sure. Metal cybernetic Terminator, sure. Yeah, liquid metal guy, yeah, sure.
Ginger kid having a friend. What is this crap?
This is James Cameron carrying on his tradition of like blowing away the first movie, eh? Like if you ever wanted to like knock the park out of a sequel, just be like, "Hey, James, what are you up to? You want to like make a sequel to my movie?"
Well, I don't know if it just took him a while to get it right because he didn't do Alien, but he rocked Aliens. He did Terminator 1, then he rocked Terminator 2. But like then True Lies came out in like 94, I think it was, and that was just near perfection as well. So
I thought you were gonna go down like a different road with True Lies the way you were talking there. I was like,
no,
man, is he gonna crap talk
No.
True Lies?
True Lies is probably my second favorite Arnold movie. So
Really? Huh, I would not have guessed that. I would have thought like Predator maybe because that's kind of like a horror
Predator's fine.
action movie, right?
I like Predator. So
True Lies is really good though.
True Lies is really, really good. But again, it's the Cameron fingerprint. You can tell it's just a well-made action movie.
Well, Cameron, we were talking about last time. Cameron,
Yeah. He's like Michael Bay, but he doesn't need the explosions. He needs just a good visual.
he knows how to tell a good story.
Yeah. Well, and he gets help where help is due. Like William Wisher co-wrote these movies with him. And it's a fun fact. William Wisher, the writer, had two cameos, one in the first movie, one in the second movie. In the first movie, he was just one of the cops at the beginning scene there, which, whatever, it was a throwaway character. In this movie, he was the photographer that caught the Terminator getting smashed through glass in the mall there and took the pictures that they showed Sarah later. So that was the writer. So
did not know that. Don't you miss arcades? Yeah. We're just coming up on the arcade scene right here. It's just like kids today just don't know.
I mean, I loved arcades back in the day. When I was big into arcades was the year Mortal Kombat came out on the arcade. So this is well before console.
Mm-hmm.
So
that game, that was like one of the biggest arcade games since like Pac-Man or Donkey Kong, right? Like Mortal Kombat was just, it was talked about in whispered hushes in the classroom, right?
The graphics were unheard of at the time, so
look how life like these things look, right?
Yeah, and look at the blood. It was like red pixelated dots, but ooh, look at the blood. Afterburner.
Now, I don't know if they were trying to or not because they didn't try very hard. But do you think like there was supposed to be? You were supposed to try to figure out whether or not the T-1000 or if Arnie were the bad guy when they first come in.
See, this again shows your age. So, when this movie first was talked about, like when they launched the first teaser trailer, they said is, and now there are two, and they never said who is the good guy, who's the bad guy, but they talk about the Terminator from the first movie, and now there's two. So now you're thinking, oh my god, there's two Terminators out to get him because one couldn't do it. And then you don't know who's the bad guy or not. So
I do remember thinking that when this movie first came out. Now that I think back to it, I was like 8, living on a farm in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, I vaguely remember it. But I don't think he did a very good job playing it at the beginning. Like, maybe it's because I've seen the movie so many times now. But when Arnie first came in, I was just kind of watching to see whether or not it was going to give the illusion he was a bad guy, and then he beats up a bunch of bikers and Bad to the Bone plays.
Well, and that's the thing, and I think that's what separated him from being the bad guy he was in the first movie, is if that was the first movie, he wouldn't have beat up the bad guys. He would have killed every last one of them.
Exactly. Like, he was a vicious killer to those punk kids in the first one, right?
Yeah. Shoved his fist right through Bill Paxton's stomach.
Poor Bill Paxton. God rest his soul, eh?
Yeah, man. He will be missed.
He was a legend, right? What do you think of the truck chase scene?
Iconic.
It's
This is one of the most like high, edgier seat, intense action sequences still to this day, in my opinion.
yeah, it totally holds up.
I
I
mean, a semi dropping from an overpass onto a drainage area below, not as believable, but the chase itself.
I don't think I've ever seen that in another movie.
No, mainly because I don't think a semi would survive that. Fun fact, when you see Arnold driving his bike and blowing away the locks of the chains, the gates, and driving through them, Mythbusters proved that wrong. Shooting a lock would not break the lock.
Really? Well, especially with a shotgun.
Yeah, I mean,
Like if you
whether you
had
have
like
buckshot or whether you have a slug, it ain't doing it.
yeah.
So
I did they guess bust it on guess the shotgun or did they bust it for like any kind? Because I feel like a high caliber rifle
I mean,
should be
if
able
you
to
blow
do.
the lock to smithereens, yes, it'll. If you used a 50 caliber assault rifle, there's a good chance the lock would not be there anymore.
Arnie looks super cool doing it though, right?
Yeah, and stunt double.
You mean Arnie wasn't doing his own stunts in this movie?
No,
No wonder Linda Hamilton was so mad about her wage discrepancy.
she probably did do her own stunts, to be honest.
Oh man, she is jacked in this movie.
Yeah,
Like I would be shocked if she didn't do her own stunts in this movie.
she like. You always talk about Arnold being on the cover of fitness things. She had to have been on cover of fitness things after this movie. And even now, like you watch Dark Fate, she looked great.
She,
So
you know, what a transformation from this one from the first one. Like Arnie's still Arnie. It's amazing. Even at like he was, I think he was about your age when he made this movie, like halfway through the 40s, right?
I think early, if nothing else. But
I think 45,
yeah,
if my math holds up.
yeah,
44, 45.
he definitely looked older, and the hair did not help. Like he had a completely different haircut in this movie. So if he had the cheesy '80s comb over like he had in the first movie,
Mm-hmm.
he probably looked pretty well just like how he did. But now he's got the brush cut in this one, and
He's still in amazing shape, though, right?
he was more toned in the first one, but in this one, yeah, just general, he's still in incredible shape.
Well, I think he was still big into the bodybuilding when the first one
I
came
think
out,
so,
right?
yeah. Because Pumping Iron was either 77 or 79, and then the first movie was 84. So
Crazy thing. You want to know what movie do you think was that Arnold Schwarzenegger made the most money off of? Like, guess.
like salary or residuals?
Well, it would money altogether. It's residuals is how he made it. But what movie do you think he's been like?
Conan.
Huh?
Conan.
No.
Okay. I thought I'd just go for an off shot. So
More off shot than that.
don't say twins.
Yeah, it's twins.
Is it really twins?
It really is twins.
That's unfortunate.
Right? How
Oh.
twins? He was just like, he said, don't pay me a salary. He's Ivan Reitman, Danny DeVito, hey, let's all get together and we will do this movie for free. And then you just pay us 1/3 of everything this movie ever made. And then the movie made gangbusters. Like,
After being in that movie, though, he probably asked for a fortune to do Junior. Because just to put himself through that again.
Was that Ivan Reitman?
I doubt it very much.
Junior wasn't very good.
Junior was awful. I mean, Twins wasn't even that great, but it was still fun.
As a short, fat man, I enjoyed Twins. I played that joke for years at the bar. Me and my buddy who's like 6'5". I'm like, yeah, we're twins. I'd be like Arnie and Danny. Like, yeah, I'm Arnie. He's Danny.
Obviously. Imagine being a kid playing at, I can't remember if it was a swimming pool or at the mall, and to get called over by a casting director and say, hey, you should be in this movie.
Is that how he got this role?
Yeah.
Wow. He had a few acting credits after this, though, didn't he?
The only two movies that stood out for him three movies I should stood out for him after this. Big one, American History X. That was massive.
Well, he was second in that movie after
Edward Norton.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was second. Yeah. So, and then Pet Cemetery 2, lower budget, lower fame, but everybody who knows that movie knows he was in it. And
I don't
then
remember Pet Cemetery 2 at
it
all.
was not good. Stephen King had nothing to do with it. And then The Crow City of Angels, which also avoid if you have the choice. So,
It's unfortunate the Crow movies went the way they did.
yeah, well, I'm interested to see the new one. So
They're making a new
they
one?
they rebooted it and they have Bill Skarsgård.
Hmm.
So they just finished filming before the strike happened, so it'll still be coming out. So
Oh, awesome.
yeah, and
Hey,
Bill
so-
Skarsgård's pretty awesome. So
There are some movies worth rebooting, right? So
the one thing I read once that stuck out with me is why do they have to reboot great movies? Why can't they reboot the movies that didn't do so good and make them great?
right? Like
But I think it's just because that's where you lose your initial draw, and unfortunately, in the movie business, initial draw is everything.
I would love to see a reboot of Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck was a terrible movie.
I mean, they kind of did, right? They threw him as a side character in the Guardians movies. So
Hardly a side character, more of a like cameo.
yeah, he got bigger and bigger roles as the 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
He was playing cards in the third one.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. Like he would acknowledge him on screen for a while. And he was in that strip club in the second one too.
Yeah, we
When
don't need to have Howard the Duck reading Playboy magazine and Leah Thompson and Jeffrey Jones like cheese acting their hearts out.
That was such a terrible movie.
And it was a George Lucas movie.
Oh. But to be fair, George Lucas kind of has a bad track record.
Yeah, when he's given free reign.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna give you total and complete creative control. Yeah. No, you got to rein him in a little bit.
Yeah, it's like, all right, Star Wars prequel trilogy is all yours.
Bad idea.
Attack of the Clones come out. At least Phantom Menace was tolerable.
Yeah. Yeah, I quite enjoyed Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace had like a crazy buzz around it. Right?
Yeah, and the fight scenes with Ray Park / Darth Maul were incredible. So, why is it all of our reviews go back to Star Wars?
Because everything.
Every single one.
Did Monster Squad go back to?
I'm sure it did.
Huh.
Well, Liam Neeson almost got the role in Monster Squad, so 6 degrees of separation there.
Like Christopher Lee's role? No,
wow.
No. Who?
But Dracula's, yes.
Yeah. I don't know why I thought that was Christopher Lee.
Yeah, no, that's Duncan Regeer.
Yeah.
He's from Lethbridge.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. You know what? Corey. I've never actually seen Monster Squad.
Didn't we watch it?
Nope. You guys did that review without me.
Oh, yeah. That was Laura and I. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the Terminator.
Oh, yeah.
You know, how can they lock her up in the psych ward? It always kind of bugged me. They knew, like, they referenced the assault in the first movie. So, like, how do you think that she's totally crazy about this stuff? I guess the stuff does sound crazy, but the guy comes in and kills over a dozen cops.
Well, not to mention, Dr. Silverman was there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he may not have seen him as a robot,
but he got shot, and, like, you know, this guy was getting lit up by the cops and just waltzed on in. Like, how do you not think that there's a little bit of legitimacy to what
I really, really like what they did with his character in part 3. He was the only guy in all first 3 movies besides Schwarzenegger. Either way, he was hilarious because he was having like a neurotic breakdown. It's like claiming to see robots too and everything like that. And he's like, but it can't be real, and it can't. And then all of a sudden, that's the graveyard scene in Terminator 3 where he's holding the coffin over his shoulder and everything.
Oh,
like
yeah,
that. So
I haven't watched Terminator 3 since it first came out.
I've seen it about 3 times. It's not my favorite, but it's definitely in my top 4, I would say.
I'm trying to talk Corey into doing that as a review after this, and he's not going for it.
No. I don't think there's. It's just like when we did Crystal Skull. Yeah, the series is cool and all, but there's some movies where it's just not going to draw a crowd.
Well, it's funny. You tried to talk. I think there'd be. I think more people are interested in Terminator 3 than Crystal Skull.
Well, that's probably true.
Yeah. Mostly because of what's her pickle? Kristen Loken.
Christina Loken, yeah.
Christina Loken.
Huh.
Whew. Yeah. But where was I going with this?
I don't know.
Hmm.
Christina Loken.
Christina Loken. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, so Corey talked me into doing Crystal Skull because he's like, "Oh, I'll give it a second chance," and now I'm just like, "Oh, Corey, let's give Terminator 3 a second chance." It's funny to be on this side of it.
Well, I'm not the main guy in control. We're a collaboration, so
yeah, we try.
yeah. So I love when John finally finds out that he can make the Terminator do what he wants, and those two big muscle bound guys come. The one in the yellow tank top is like total discount Bill Paxton. Like it's like, you know, we couldn't get Bill Paxton because we killed him in the first movie, so let's get a guy that looks like him.
I love his
Cool, my own
horror when
Terminator.
he realized that Terminator is going to kill him, right?
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's discount Bill Paxton.
Yeah.
And they got to have a token black guy because it's the early 90s, right?
Yeah. And I like they're both like jocks. So you call moi a dipshit?
Did it ever bug you how close this movie could have came to like a total disaster? Like on paper, this movie should have sucked. Okay, we're going to take this horror movie from the 80s, this horror sci-fi movie from the 80s. We're going to put this old actor who's like 8 years older into this, and he's going to be a good guy now instead of a bad guy. And he's going to have a kid who's like in control of him. You look at that on paper, that sounds terrible.
Yeah, but I mean, you could argue most good plots have a terrible outline on paper, but it's the writers and the actors who make it happen. Like, again, this movie without Arnold or Linda was not a movie.
Give me an example, because I can't think of any.
Don't make me put on the spot. I suck being on the spot.
Well, you shouldn't have made the the call if you weren't ready to be put on the spot about that.
Bunch of kids go on a treasure hunt.
Oh, see, that sounds like a good kids' family movie.
Yeah, but the Goonies.
Well, okay, nobody expected it was going to be the Goonies, obviously. No, this, fun kid movies sound like a good time, right? Kid controlling a robot, I don't know, I guess. And, I think Cameron's really lucky that CGI just happened to be where it was at the time. He probably waited to make this movie for CGI, eh? That's probably why
he's done that before. Like with Avatar, he planned certain CGIs around the movie. Or I should say the other way around, actually, the movie around certain CGIs. Fun fact, some of the special effects in this movie were actually done in Saskatoon.
Really? Like,
I can't say specific. I don't remember. I was told this back when it came out, so
I wonder.
Which is funny because I was living in Saskatoon when this came out.
You thought that would have been like a huge deal.
Yeah, at the University of Saskatchewan they did it. So,
huh? I had no idea the University of Saskatchewan was like way up on visual effects back in the 90s. Well, I guess that would have been the 80s still, right?
Yeah,
well, 90.
Depends when, yeah, because this movie was released in 91, so I assume there was already a start happening in the late 80s. Like, he probably wanted a sequel right away, but like you said, maybe he was waiting for technology to catch up.
Who knows? Like,
because this movie's special effects arguably are just as good, if not better, than some of the movies that come out today.
Yeah, you can make that argument. You can see their age a little bit.
Certain things.
Like the CGI definitely isn't as good as today's CGI. CGI today is just so seamless. it's too seamless today. To be
Yeah, well, at
honest.
least like in this, they knew their limits. So when they needed somebody to like have them looking at each other, so like when Sarah Connor sees herself at the park, that's actually her sister. When the security guard steps on the ground and the T1000 comes up out of the ground and then becomes the security guard, and they stare at each other, those guys were twins, Dean and Don Stanton from
That.
Gremlins too. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, and when oh, there was another one too. I can't remember, but yeah, they
So
just
they had a Gremlins 1 cameo in the first one, then had a Gremlins 2 cameo in the second one.
yeah. See,
What are the odds? They're basically the same movie.
obviously,
I love that scene when he's coming out of the ground.
yeah.
Like,
That's the first scene that they showed when they were talking about the special effects in this movie back when it came out.
oh, and I remember that blew people away. Like, oh yeah, we're using computer generated effects. Oh my god. Like it's not like I said earlier, it's not as good as today's graphics, obviously, but like it's a cool shot.
The scene where Sarah is escaping from her room there, and she's broken that paperclip to break open her buckle on her chest belt, and then to open the door. Apparently, that was Linda Hamilton solely. James Cameron gave her a rundown on how to do it, but didn't expect her to do it, and was prepared to let her out of the buckle and let her open the door for her. She refused. She wouldn't stop until she could do it herself.
Wow.
So she took her role pretty seriously. So
You feel like they could have just made a door or a buckle that could just unbuckle on
yeah,
its own.
but no,
That
no.
would have.
James Cameron makes things as real as possible. Um, what's it called?
That's why he built a time machine for this movie.
Obviously. Um, do you know that the jet that Thor throws the Hulk in the first Avengers movie is the jet from True Lies?
Is that the Harrier jet from
Yeah,
True
it's
Lies?
the actual jet.
I,
They got permission from Cameron to use it and then destroy it. So
but this Cameron gets like, oh hey, I have this jet laying in my backyard. Just come use it whenever.
well, I don't know when he opened his studio, but Skydance, I believe, is his studio. So
I don't think I realized Skydance was his studio.
yeah,
Because I don't think Skydance has anything to do with the Avatar movies, does it?
yeah.
I don't think I ever realized that. Did she do the lock picking too?
Yep. So Linda Hamilton's a dangerous woman.
My wife was telling me how like she couldn't get over how ripped she was in this movie.
She was, yeah.
Like she was, man, she was.
I
Jacked.
remember the part where she smashes the nose of the guard, how they switch it to his perspective and that big white flash. And it makes you feel, because I don't know if you've ever hit yourself in the head before, but you see that white flash, because I've hit myself in the head before.
Mhm.
And that part made me wince so hard the first time I saw it. So,
Oh, oh. Who'd have thought she'd
and
be?
oh, more. I have unlimited trivia for this podcast is going to be like 6 hours long, just so you know. What's it called? She actually hit him the first time.
Oh, did she?
And she did not stop, and he never said anything. But he said to her, "Go ahead," and so she. I don't know if like the bloody nose necessarily was real, but she hit him, and it probably was real. So
That would have hurt too. Like
yeah. Like when she's running down the hall on her bare feet and it sounds like she's wearing shoes. Yay, post sound.
I don't think I noticed that. I'm listening for it right now.
Yeah, it was too quiet.
The look of horror on her face when Arnie shows up,
Yeah.
because she's like, she's just taken out this whole entire building.
And she still believes that he is evil and he
Yep.
is there to kill her and kill John.
Well, and she knows she can't defeat him.
Yeah.
Right? Like
I mean, she technically did beat him in the first movie, but if it wasn't for Kyle, she wouldn't have.
Well,
And that giant machine press, but yeah.
She knows she can't beat it on her own.
Yeah. She's like a female Batman. Give her prep time and she can do anything.
Well, I love the was it like Drano or whatever the heck it is that she's gonna inject the psychologist with.
Yeah.
Uh,
There are 215 bones in the human body. That's one. Now don't move. Badass line. However, there are only 207, I believe, in the human body. So
we'll have to get we're gonna come back and we'll have a nurse check out these numbers, okay?
All right. So update from our registered nurse, who in turn went on Google. 206 bones in the human body, not 215.
All that medical training
Yeah.
and Google.
Amen. Google's, and yet they tell us not to Google our injuries.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't you dare go. Oh, Doctor Google. Doctor Google. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Oh. So the scene where they're all jumping on top of Sarah Connor, and
Yeah.
Arnie just comes, starts picking them up. What were you saying about the women? What are they called? Those would be
Probably peace officers, I guess, or security guards.
no,
Or...
they wouldn't be. Well, I guess
They're called
orderlies.
Orderlies.
Orderlies is what they'd be called.
Okay.
What were you telling me on the break about the female orderly?
Well, I know she wanted to get thrown around just as much as the guys did, but I guess Arnold didn't want to do it, so he just gave her that one-handed stiff shove, and that was the end of it.
I don't understand how she would have been able to twist his neck like that.
It's because she had a cast on.
you would have to have like an adamantium cast to punch that hard. Like
Maybe she got a metal plate put in her arm.
Maybe. Maybe she's a cyborg too. There was 3 robots in this movie the whole entire time.
Plot twist.
Boy, he doesn't really care about that rule in the third movie, does he? Because he don't they beat the crap out of one another in the third movie, like him and the Christian Loken?
Yeah. Although God knows how much of her was stunt double too, but
but I would imagine it was still a female stunt.
Yeah,
worker, right?
well, maybe.
Matt, that scene where the T-1000's chasing after that car, I think that made nightmares for kids for decades to come. Guess like those metal arms
Blade
coming
arms,
out. Oi. Clearly a dummy on the back of that car, though, right?
I mean, yes. Give you $5 if you hang on to the car. No, okay.
You know, stunt doubles were crazy back in those days.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of practical effects in this movie. So, I mean, obviously there was a lot of digital effects, but there was a lot of practical effects. A lot of stunt doubles. Like most of John's scenes on the motorcycle were a stunt double. Some of Arnold's scenes on the bike were stunt double. I'm sure Linda Hamilton did her own stunts. She just seems badass that way.
She does seem badass that way. Yeah. You know, did you notice, and maybe it just bugged me because of the era we're living in now, but like neither one of them were wearing helmets on the bikes, and it just bugged me. Because you just wouldn't see that today, even if like you're supposed to.
Well, until it became a law, which I don't even know how it is in the States, until it became a law, really nobody did. The odd like long haul biker would wear one because they're going so long, but average Joe Blow biker never wore one.
You could talk to the registered nurse about this, about how bike accidents are just like the worst.
I couldn't imagine.
Oh.
That low to the ground, going 100 miles an hour, and yeah.
Well, you've got no protection, right?
No, they call them brain buckets for a reason. So,
well, and even what it does to the rest of your body, right? Like you get wiped out. Like, oh, hey, your skull's kind of shaking around in the helmet, and like, you know, you're basically sliding on pavement, right?
Yeah, well, that's like why people used to laugh. Oh, look at those bikers and all that leather, haha. It's practical. It's not fashion.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you wipe out and you've got that leather on. It's a godsend, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not going to save you, but
Are we learning yet?
The interactions between John and the Terminator in this movie are what make this movie, right?
Well, I had somebody say to me once, and I fought it for a while, but it is so true now that I think about it. This is an overglorified boy and his dog movie.
Oh my god, it is. It really is. Like, oh, good boy, you're not killing those people.
Who's
Oh,
a good boy? Yes, you are.
yeah. Who's a good Terminator? You're the best Terminator.
So, like this scene that just happened, where they just not escaped, but drove away from the gas station they spent the night at, where they pulled the bullets out of him and everything like that. There was so many different things happening in the special editions at that scene. Like in this version, it was just can you be reprogrammed? Yeah, I can learn. Whereas in the other one, they pull his chip out and they reset the chip, and that's how he was able to learn. And so
Like in the future, or in the
in that scene specific, they redid that scene.
like. So they did that at the gas station then.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a pain in the ass, though. Every time you want to learn something, reset the chip, though.
Well, I think like it was kind of like, when you get a computer or something like that, there's demo mode and then there's actual mode or whatever. It was kind of the same theory. He was in demo mode, just doing the default Terminator stuff. They put him into learning mode, but it also doesn't make sense because he's already said flat out that he has to do what John says. So it sort of puts a monkey wrench in that theory. So
Why would the robots program a robot that could be programmed by humans?
that hurt my head.
Like, that's probably the most unbelievable thing. Okay, the robots have taken over the Earth. We have
Well, in all fairness, it was Arnold telling him what to do. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
How did? Well, I guess John knew how to program him because in
He
the
sent him.
past,
Yeah.
the timey wimey stuff and
Blah, blah, blah. Time travel, blah, blah, blah.
but that future didn't happen, so he never did come back to tell John how to do that, right?
Yeah. The whole, I like how you say the timey-wimey thing is, if Kyle didn't go back, then John would have been born. But John was born in 1984, and yeah.
So in the first Terminator, they created this future, and then this Terminator they changed to a different future.
But yeah, John was still born.
It's like, if they couldn't have changed the future in the first one, how did they change the future in this one?
But then as the sequels go, but you didn't. And then Dark Fate came around and threw a complete, put the story on its head. So
I don't remember. What's the one with Christian Bale?
Salvation.
I don't remember that one at all.
In all fairness, that one I've seen maybe twice, and that's
Yeah.
a maybe. So
That's crazy because, like,
and I love Christian Bale. Like, he is one of my favorite actors in Hollywood, and I couldn't get into that movie. And it's the movie we wanted. We all wanted Terminator in the future.
Yeah.
And it was bad. I mean,
because that one did bad, then we kept getting like Genesis and Dark Fate.
Yeah.
Which it kept going back to that trend. And like, I wish Salvation would have done well or been done well, because then
yeah, we could have more in the future. But Dark Fate was a requel, though, so it's where you take the legacy. It's like what they did with the Halloween movies. You take the legacy of the first two movies and you follow from those and ignore every sequel that happened before that. So literally, you could watch Dark Fate right after part 2. But that argument could be said with Genesis when it came out. And I really enjoyed Genesis, but Dark Fate was more of a natural sequel to part 2 because it had Linda Hamilton in it, and it explained what happened with Arnold and everything like that. And yeah, It was good on paper, but so it's kind of the opposite of what we were saying. Good on paper, bad execution.
Yeah. They did the opposite of what Indiana Jones did. Like Indiana Jones like doubled down on, well, I don't know if double down is the right term, but like they blatantly made Crystal Skull part of the plot of the new one. And then like the new Terminator movies, they're all just kind of like, yeah, we don't really like 3, so we're gonna forget about that movie, or we didn't really like this movie, so we're gonna forget about that one, right? Like it's kind of, we're gonna talk more about this next week when we're gonna discuss whether or not the Terminator movie should die or not.
Yeah, so the I think we figured it was every third week we were doing it.
I thought it was every
second week. Yeah, every second one. Every second week
second week of the month.
Yeah. We're gonna start mixing things up and not talk about a movie in particular, but have a theme. So whether it be like we were talking next week, for example, should the Terminator movies die? And we're going to discuss that. And I would love to hear your guys' input on that. Come October, we're going to probably count down our favorite Halloween movies. Come December, it'll be our favorite Christmas movies, like things like that. So I think it'll just mix things up and it'll be a lot of fun for all of us.
Don't you love the interaction with the Terminator and the baby when they get to this?
Freaking! I remember laughing so hard at the theater when I saw that. So
just like almost like, what is this?
Yeah.
Like he's never seen a new, like a baby before.
Well, and it's funny because like I have detailed files on human anatomy. What the hell is this? Apparently he never learned anatomy that people grow.
Oh, I'm gonna call him Lassie from here on out after the dog
poor
analogy.
dog movie, yeah.
So what the fuck did like Sarah Connor do after the Terminator? Like, she's just running with these like Mexican renegades that have
they
like.
Explain it when her and John are talking, or sorry, when John and the Terminator are talking, and they say she'd shack up with everyone she could learn, or she could learn to be a great military leader,
Mm-hmm.
and so she just probably in her quests ran into him, and so yeah,
Well,
right here pretty well. So
the look of Arnie with the Gatling gun,
yeah, the smirk.
As a Terminator, he's not supposed to smile, right?
No, but he's a learning computer now.
Yeah, now that he's a learning computer, he can smile now.
Did you ever see that special edition scene too, where he learned how to smile?
No, I don't think I
it's
did.
so funny. It's a scene where they're at the place where they get the food at the beginning there, like the hamburger and the fries there. And
isn't it like a super awkward smile?
Yeah, he's kind of like...
Yeah, for those of you that can see through the camera.
Yeah. So, but it's... if you've seen the special edition, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, he learns how to make the stupid fake phony smile, and he thinks it's real because he analyzed the face and did a facial structure. So he's like, oh, so this is a smile. But he looked like an absolute idiot. So
they played on those moments perfectly in this movie. Like they didn't make it too goofy. Like the Terminator 3, they almost did too goofy.
Oh, totally.
Of course, Arnie's so perfect, right? Like he's got that good timing. He knows the faces to make, and he just doesn't ham it up too much.
Terminator 3 was almost the Gremlins 2 of the franchise, where it still had, somewhat spooky thought to it, like there's a spider and everything, but yet it's a sequel off of a movie that was taken seriously.
I don't remember being scared once through Terminator 3. Not once.
No, Terminator 3 is the one that doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's the Gremlins 2. But
this one, at least, like, the first one scared the shit out of me.
Of this? Yeah.
Yeah. And this one, there were a few moments, like, it's pretty tense at T-1000, but yeah. That was me agreeing with you, saying, like,
I see.
3 didn't scare me.
There
was never felt like a tense moment.
I feel this was the first, like, I'm a really bad nail biter, and especially during movies. I feel this is the first movie that started that.
Oh, the nail biting?
Yeah.
I did almost feel like I didn't know how this movie was going to end the first time watching it. It's obvious now.
Either to Cameron, apparently, hence the different endings.
Well, and do you want to talk about the different endings? Because I didn't watch any of the special editions. I meant to prior to this podcast, but I didn't.
Yeah, there's. Well, we'll wait till we get closer to it. We're almost at the point where she's gonna go to Dyson's house and try to assassinate him in hopes to end everything. So
Which is the play, right?
right, that's what should be done. But then the movie decides to try and throw a moral aspect into it, which, in my
Well,
opinion, was too little, too late. But
that was always John, though, right? Like
yeah,
right in the beginning of the movie, it's established he values life.
yeah, weirdo.
You
Anyway,
know, you first think like, oh, this is that stupid '90s trope, where you can't kill nobody. Oh yeah, because there's a lot of them like that, right? Oh, no killing, no killing. But obviously, this movie doesn't follow that because Sarah Connor has no fucking problem killing people.
yeah,
Well, I guess she has a bit of a problem there. She does
well,
break down in the end,
yeah,
but that's because of the kids, right?
probably more than likely, yeah,
Oh, I guarantee it's
yeah,
like she finds out he's a father. She's a cold-blooded killer most of this movie, though.
yeah. She's just angry.
She's very angry.
But again, do you blame her?
Well,
Spent the
yeah,
last how many years being locked up because people thought she was crazy when she knew this was going to happen.
I love how I guess like the most wholesome scene in this whole movie is like some guerrilla Mexican. Like, what are these guys like? Mercenaries?
I think they're ex mercenaries, is what
Ex
they are. Yeah,
mercenaries?
so
They still have helicopters and bazookas, though.
I mean,
How ex
most of their
military
weapons
could
are
the.
buried, and the helicopter was definitely taken apart. So that's why I say X. So
I guess.
I mean, look at John Wick. He wasn't going to be a killer anymore, so he buried all his stuff until the fateful night, and then he unburies it all.
I guess. I don't think those guys are like. I don't think anybody shot Linda Hamilton's dog. Like Linda Hamilton or Sarah
Man,
Connor
could
wasn't
you
going to put.
imagine if they shot Sarah Connor's dog? Holy man, John Wick, eat your heart out.
I want to see that crossover now.
Yeah,
Guess like John John Wick runs over Sarah Connor's car, and guess like the blood carnage that would come from that. So she like shoots his cat in retaliation.
yeah, the movie that we never thought would happen. I guess the Department of Nuclear Sciences or whatever the hell they're called said that like this the nightmare scene where she like the bomb goes off and the people in the park blow up and she blows up and the town blows up. They said this is the most realistic depiction of what an atomic bomb would do to a city that they've ever seen in their life.
Really?
I'm sure the argument has now been taken over by Oppenheimer, but yeah, no, this one they said was super considering 99.9% of the scene was done with miniatures.
It's really gruesome when she's just like melting.
Yeah, and then catch some, and then that last wave which tears the skin off her bones.
Ugh. And then she flashes back to like somebody playing with the baby.
But she
Right, but
realizes, I know how to stop this. Yeah, and then that's what makes her go to Dyson's house and try to assassinate him. Which, like you're saying, that's the end game is kill the guy who created it all and destroy all his files, and you should win.
it's like James Rhodes always says, just choke out baby Thanos.
Ah, Rhodey. Stupid scroll.
I do love how Arnie's pretty much got to be like, you have to listen to us by peeling back his bloody hand.
His whole freaking forearm.
like but that's a good way to get your attention, right? Like getting shot. Yeah, I'm not going to listen to you after you shot me a couple times in front of my kid. But,
And the thing is, like, he knew he would recognize him because of the forearm, because that's the piece he had in his company there.
So, once again, the whole timey-wimey stuff. The first movie created the paradox that created the robots taking over, because without that chip and that arm, the
Then
Skynet would have
Cyberdyne,
never been
yeah,
created.
Cyberdyne would, unless another company would have taken it and built it. You never know, but
Well, they reverse engineer everything from that hand
yeah,
though, and
yeah,
that chip,
and
right?
mainly the chip, yeah. So
And so the future that created this movie would have never existed. Yet this movie erases that future, sort of.
yeah, time travel movies are weird.
Can you believe how easily he agreed to go do this? Like, I get it, the whole robotic hand thing, but like, I don't know. I
It's
feel
like
like
I'm going to sabotage my entire career and possibly my life.
exactly right. Like,
But
he gets along pretty good for a guy that's guess got shot.
yeah, I mean, it's cool that he puts his one hand in his pocket. You can tell his arm is being subdued.
Hmm.
So that's cool that they keep that going. Like, I don't know if you remember the movie Cloverfield,
Yeah.
but the one scene the guy gets rebar right through his shoulder, and the next scene he's running with his arms flailing. I'm like, that's not how it works.
I thought that was an excellent movie, by the way.
It was not.
You don't. Are you just not a shaky cam guy?
I like found footage movies actually.
Really?
Okay, it wasn't a terrible movie. It just wasn't that great.
I thought it was such a unique idea
Yeah, I can go
at the
with you.
time, anyway.
Yeah, I never watched any of the sequels though.
10 Cloverfield Lane was really good.
Was it? Okay.
The Cloverfield Paradox is kind of meh.
Yeah.
None of them were real sequels, though.
Yeah, I didn't think so, and that's probably why I didn't watch them. So
Highly recommend 10 Cloverfield Lane.
okay.
That was an excellent movie.
Okay.
John Goodman, oh my god, he's amazing.
John
Like
Goodman
he
is
can
amazing.
he can play a creepy guy like nobody's business. I had no idea.
I really liked him in Death Sentence, but that's a whole other story. So
I don't know if I've seen Death
you need to
Sentence.
watch that movie.
Yeah,
It's one of the best revenge flicks I've ever seen.
when that came out not that long ago, right?
07.
Oh, really? It's that old now?
Kevin Bacon.
Huh.
It was fantastic. So anyway, we're at the factory now. So this is when shit's about to get real. So they're destroying all the evidence, they're destroying all the research, they're destroying all the everything. They're just hoping to stop this all. But now the T-1000's onto what they're doing, and he's going down to fight them, and it's going to be one huge battle, and it did not disappoint.
I'm glad that they covered up the plot hole because he just kind of like, oh hey, yeah, the T-1000 just happens to show up here, but knowing they totally explain like, oh, he's got the same files as me, he will most likely predict this play, right?
Yeah.
I love that though. They gave a logical reason because sometimes in movies it's just kind of like,
How did they know to be there?
yeah,
Yeah.
this guy's just here because the plot dictates that he's going to be here. Movie stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I'm glad they gave a logical explanation. I love this scene with the cops where he's just like, "You can't kill them."
Yeah, so he freaking kicks out the window with the desk, pulls out the Gatling gun, and just unloads on every single cop car. But I love my favorite part: human casualties 0.0. What does 0.1 mean exactly?
Yeah, how do you kill 0.2 of a person, right?
Like injuries, I could see point something, but casualties. It's like he's kind of dead. He's like a zombie at this point.
It's so 90s. Like John Connor just happens to have this technology, like
Given to him by his mother.
yeah, given to get any code he ever wants. Like, okay.
Yeah, I kind of want that machine.
I think encryption technology is a little bit better today than it was in 1991.
Might be.
Just a wee bit. I don't think just like a little card plug-in thing in. It actually makes a lot of sense now thinking back that Sarah would know how to make all these bombs.
Well, because she wanted to do everything she could to teach John how to be a military leader.
Mm-hmm. This movie's worth its weight in gold, just by the fact that they gave Arnie a Gatling gun and like that big like grenade launcher. This
Sorry,
like if it just had that scene alone, Like Arnie needed this in his life, right?
Yes. Well, fun fact, I was watching this a few weeks ago with commentary, and they gave him a real Gatling gun.
No.
And obviously the bullets are fake, obviously, but they gave him one. And you know when he was done with it, how he just dropped it?
Hmm.
I guess the guys, they lent him the gun. And the guy that lent it to him were like,
You dropped it.
like it wasn't a replica. It was an actual gun. And he just drops it like it's nothing.
Oh.
And they were pissed.
I'm glad it stayed in the shot then.
Yeah.
I bet you it's heavy as all sin.
Well, yeah. I mean, generally those are the kinds that you find mounted onto like a helicopter or
Yeah.
something. He's freaking one hand holding it up, the other hand firing it. Like, turns out this guy's a little strong, so.
Were you listening that he spent like a bunch of time on the gun range so that he wouldn't blink in this scene?
Yeah, actually, I did hear that too, yeah. He
Just drops it.
The camera even follows it down. I refuse to believe that not even a piece of shrapnel injured somebody.
Well, there had to have been injuries.
Yeah. But 0.0 casualties.
I think that's a limb loss, okay?
Yeah. It's like the scout thing, right? 10% loss.
10% loss. Oh, we probably shouldn't be letting that rule get out on the air.
All right. I didn't say that.
Yeah. It's higher in the new organization, FYI.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, right. I don't even understand that rule. How are we allowed the loss, right?
I've come to pick up little Jimmy. Well, he's missing an arm. Yeah, but we're within our rights.
Yeah,
So
he's got more than 90% of himself.
Yeah.
Okay, he's okay.
You signed this paper.
Do you understand why they would keep these behind a wall like that? Like, why does it need to be in like a secret wall? You're already putting it in a
Security?
safe, but it was already a safe that needed two keys at the same time.
Hashtag movie?
Yeah, it's allowed a couple hashtag movie like for how good they were at like not doing that the movie convenience thing. They can get away with that one because it looked cool, right?
I guess only 2 of these SWAT team members were actually actors. The rest, they just had extras from the SWAT team just do their thing.
Oh, really?
So Cameron knew how to cut corners, but yet made it seem like he wasn't cutting corners. Like I said,
he doesn't worry about that now. Like he'll just spend.
No, he's like, oh, what's that? You need something? Let me just buy it.
Yeah. Oh, what do you mean I can't spend $500 million on my movie? Watch me.
Like it's kind of like Dark Knight. It's like I don't think they'll allow us to put 2 tables together. Well, they should. I own the place. Or in like Batman versus Superman, where it's like I don't know if the bank will let me have it. Well, I just bought the bank. So,
which really, that's not how it would work. Like it would take like years for that paperwork to go through.
pretty much.
You just don't buy a bank.
No, but Bruce Wayne could do anything.
Do you like the sacrifice
In this?
Yeah, pretty heart wrenching.
Yeah, it was pretty sad. It's funny. I never watched it, but my mother and sister watched it faithfully. But Joe Morton, who plays Miles Dyson, was apparently a regular cast member on Another World, the old soap opera there.
Oh.
And so they knew right away who he was. So I had no clue. So he was a somebody at this point. So like, yeah, I could make that scene that much more sad for certain viewers.
Is being a regular on a soap opera really being a somebody?
Back then, yes.
This is true, actually.
Man, soap operas were life in the 90s. And like I said, my mother and sister watched them, and I thought they were crazy. I just sat and watched my horror movies.
Is Young and the Restless still going?
I think it is.
Jeez.
Don't quote me. I don't watch daytime TV. I rarely watch TV, to be honest. I watch just movies. So
Well, that kind of demographics died. Like the stay-at-home mom,
yeah,
it's almost non-existent, right? So like, they aren't putting on the soaps on the background like the way they used to, right? And there's so much other media out there to consume.
yeah,
I like the sacrifice because he's the guy that's responsible for everything, and he gets to terminate it, right?
yeah. I mean, obviously he didn't plan to get shot. So, but I guess knowing he was shot, it was the right thing to do.
It's kind of a nail in the coffin, right? Like, okay, we've destroyed all the research, and the guy that led up the research has
So there,
died.
yeah, there
Definitely,
should be no chance of this future happening.
yeah. Of course, there's always
However,
somebody.
there's still a two separate robots walking the earth right now. So
But they take care of that issue.
yeah,
God, Robert Patrick was so badass coming through that smoke.
yeah, the freaking aviator glasses.
Hmm.
Um, what's called? So I guess the scene where he's like he walks up to the SWAT team and just takes all the bullets right to the face and everything like that. I guess they had a model on a cart, and so that's why they only ever showed like part of his face and everything like that, and they just kind of pushed him through, and so that thing got all shot up. So obviously, needless to say, it wasn't Arnold getting shot up.
Is that why they do the tear gas too? Then, so like to hide that cart.
Probably, and it probably lessens the need for good effects too.
Hmm.
So
Now that we're coming up to that scene, I'm gonna have to watch this because like it's probably obvious after you watch it or it.
well,
But
it's blended in pretty seamlessly. Like that right there was.
hmm
That right there was.
I see what you mean about
Yeah.
how well blended it is, right?
Yeah.
It he did a great job on this movie for its time.
Yeah.
I just love how he just waltz in and takes out all the kneecaps. Because full well he could kill every single last one of them.
I think it's funny. See there, throws the gun.
Oh, but
How
he didn't he pick up? I thought he picked up another one from them.
we're gonna find out. Um,
I
what's it
love
called?
the I love the smoke grenade into the guy's back. I don't know why I love that so much. I guess like poo.
Every time I think of him shooting him in the leg, it's like they'll live. I'm like, well, actually, you could technically get like destroy the femur, which can cause you to bleed out, and
uh,
yeah,
yeah, like if these guys don't get medical attention like right away, they're most likely dead. He was shooting them in the lower leg though, not the upper leg.
yeah, that's true. That would hurt so bad.
These cops are kind of wusses though. Like one little shot to the ankle, like
Yeah, walk it off.
like that one guy that got the rebar through him. Right, he's like running around next scene. Right, like these cops are just like little shot to the knee. Movie logic would dictate that you could go wherever you want.
Yeah. See, they're hobbling. They're hobbling.
And how does he not run over anybody with the SWAT car? Like for sure he would have accidentally killed somebody in that scene.
So, fun fact number 1,266,501. The stunt driver who drove the SWAT truck into the building where they were supposed to line up with the elevator there was supposed to do a full 180 to get the back face there, and he couldn't pull it off. So, if you notice when he stops, he's like perpendicular to the entrance,
Mm-hmm.
but then when he's loading up, there the back is to it.
I
So,
always just wrote that off as when they pulled ahead, they straightened out.
yeah. No, they want like Cameron wanted them to do it, but they just couldn't pull it off. So
I bet you that'd be a hard truck to do that with, right?
yeah, because one wrong move and you're tipping that thing. So
Mm-hmm.
the T1000 getting into the helicopter there,
Like,
pouring through the glass. Frick, I love that scene.
the scene where he goes through the window. Oh, with the that's such
Yeah.
an iconic shot. What would you think if you're that pilot? Like, what in the fuck just came through my
Well,
window?
that's why he's like, "Get out," and the guy's like, "Okay."
Yeah, I don't care that I'm 10 feet up in the air. I'm out of here.
Yeah. It's funny though. Like I said, like if it wasn't for Sarah's trucker mouth, this movie, in my opinion, is not rated R.
I think the kind of gore that it. Well, I guess the gore is actually not that bad, is it?
No, the only real gore is Arnold Gore, which is he's a robot underneath. And I
It's
guess she
it's,
gets shot in the leg, and it's pretty graphic. So
but it's not like in the first one, right?
no, but I guess even well, no, actually, Kyle got pretty bloodied up in the first one there. So
Well, and they were pretty graphic in that cop scene. Like, I guess it wasn't super ultra graphic, but there was some blood.
yeah,
So I was gonna pick your brain about the helicopter scene coming up next. Was it all done like with stunt pilots?
yes, that was literally a helicopter driving down and under the bridge.
That's insanity.
He when I was watching the commentary, Cameron was just hyping the guy up. He's like, "This is how great he was," and blah blah blah. And then fun. Well, this I'm going to take away that word this time. Fact: the pilot actually died in an accident like a
Oh,
month later or something like that.
no way.
So
So he does like this crazy stunt and then he
yeah,
dies?
yeah.
What happened?
I don't know if it was like a foggy day or something like that, but yeah,
Oh, so it was like an actual.
it was a legit accident, like outside of doing a movie. So
That's super sad.
yeah, because this guy was incredible pilot. Again, Cameron didn't cheap out on what he wanted, so I think it was funny there is when you see him, the T-1000 firing his machine gun, and he's got one hand firing the machine gun, one hand loading it, and one hand controlling the stick.
Well, he can do that.
Yeah, I remember back in the day when movie mistakes dot something something was a thing. It was like one of the first websites I went to. They regarded that scene as a goof, and I'm like, why?
It,
Why
he
can't he grow another
he
arm?
he's a shift. He's a shapeshifter, right?
Yeah,
Like it actually makes perfect sense that he could do that. I don't think Cameron made. I don't think there were a lot of shots that were incidental in this show. Like Cameron did like an amazing job of making the most out of everything, right?
yeah. No, it's funny because there's a lot of movies where um, something happens accidentally and they keep it in the movie, and that's cool because you get the genuine reaction. But like you said, everything was pretty much to his design in this movie. So
Yeah. There's just there's no end of cool shots in this movie too,
no,
right?
it's not. And I love the blues, like the blue tint in the night scenes. Obviously, it's a night scene, but it's just the use of filters was amazing. So
That's one thing I don't like about today's movies. Like you can notice it now that we're going back to the old movies. Like the '80s has like this dirty, grimy feeling, but there's this lighting that the '90s did. Like Heat did it really good too, and I can't think of Jurassic World. I remember, or not World, the Lost World, Jurassic Park 2 had like really good blue lighting like this. Like the the movies just go on, but because that was just the way it was shot back then, right? I miss this style of movie shooting. They feel so fake, the movies nowadays half the time. I guess blue lighting isn't really that realistic, but
no, I know completely weird example, but in 2007, Rob Zombie's Halloween, they shot the first scene of Haddonfield and they used an orange filter to make it look like fall because meanwhile it was getting filmed in California where they don't really have fall. So
stupid California.
yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, our trees are starting to change already.
Oh my god, it's like 2 days into September. Like, stop it already.
Yeah, that summer, it's gone. Bye. And then the stupid smoke. At least I can talk now.
Oh, I was exhausted all day today. Were you?
Well, my throat was scratchy again because of the smoke today. So
I think my one eye is like totally bloodshot because of it.
it's pretty bad. I actually thought you had pink eye for a second there. So
I don't think I have pink eye. I think it's
yeah,
from the smoke.
yeah, that's gross, eh?
Hmm.
So yeah, they're getting to the scene where they're getting to this steel factory, and again, another chase scene that is absolutely epic. It yeah.
Cameron really loves his semi trucks in this series.
Yeah. Even in the first movie there was
Yeah.
the semi there, and then the of course the international tow truck at the beginning there, and then this one right here, the liquid nitrogen semi truck there.
You just the whole time watching this, like, oh, what's gonna happen with the liquid nitrogen?
Yeah.
You know they showed liquid nitrogen for a reason.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's called
somebody's getting
foreshadowing.
frozen. And Arnie just climbing up. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna guess a lot of that was stunt worker,
More than
but
likely.
like it's so robotic just to climb up on there and shoot him in the face on there.
Fun fact, actually, I just remembered, it was not.
Arnie did that.
Walking on the back of the truck and onto the top of the semi was all him.
Well, it doesn't shock me because he worked very hard to get that stoic, robotic feel to his character, right? And it's very much that vein. Like it's crazy how robotic he is in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I guess we just finished not that long ago the Indiana Jones movies where like scenes like that he would have played clumsily, right? Like just struggling to do it.
Yeah, but still did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we got the crashed semi with the liquid nitrogen pouring everywhere, and out of the semi comes the T1000 onto the liquid nitrogen. But what happens when you come in contact with liquid nitrogen?
Would he? Why didn't he realize this would happen to him?
He was probably so focused on his mission, he just.
I don't think that's the way robots work.
I don't know.
Like, you think he would like know better than to go through the liquid nitrogen?
My thing is that so this is the iconic everybody knows scene of where he pulls out the gun and shoots the frozen T1000 with the Hasta La Vista baby, and he shatters. Now that you'd think would be perfect, but somehow the molten steel is pouring over the edge and melting him. Like, why is it pouring over the edge and melting him?
I don't know. This is where they should have ended the movie. That shot's just perfect.
Yeah, I mean his
Well,
face was pretty amazing in the end scene too. So
well, yeah, but and you did want to see him
and look,
kick Arnie's.
handgun.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I don't care that the gun just came out of nowhere. Like maybe it was a different gun that was exactly the same as that scene.
Maybe. It's like, well, we won. Just kidding.
Like I know you have to have the killer come back at the end. Like, oh, he's not dead yet, but I don't know. That shatter scene's
I guess the
so
semi kind of
perfect.
crashed into the molten steel, causing it to pour over. So, yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, the
You think
semi's
they would
right there.
have
So,
fail safes for that?
yeah, the next time a liquid nitrogen truck comes crashing in.
Yeah. Has anybody wrote up an SOP for when a liquid nitrogen truck comes into the?
I did. And this scene, like, there was no doubt about it. The scene where he's like liquid then and slowly forms together into one giant puddle. So obviously mercury.
Yeah.
And it's so cool. Like, obviously, it's made to look larger than it is because that would be a very dangerous amount of mercury. But it's still cool because I remember when I learned that in like high school science about how mercury, when it's separated, magnetically forms back together into one puddle, and that blew my mind. So I guess it would have been elementary science because I knew it when this movie came out. So
Do you think like the heat makes him more powerful or less powerful?
I'm going to say less because, especially if you watch the special edition, he starts shorting out in this factory.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
I always thought that was from the liquid nitrogen.
Well, and that could be part of it too. There's so many reasons it could have been,
Mm-hmm.
right? But like, there's a scene in the special edition where he's like he grabs onto a pole, and all of a sudden his arm starts taking onto the properties of the pole, and he pulls it off, and he shakes his hand and gets it back to normal. And
Mm-hmm.
so he started to short out. Like he's been through hell and back, and
It makes sense, like what happened to his body.
yeah. And the scene where there's the two Sarahs there, and John doesn't know which one's which,
Mm-hmm.
and it just so happens to be that the right Sarah shoots. In the special edition, his feet are starting to melt into the ground, and that's how John knows which one's which.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah,
So I kind of love watching Arnie get his ass kicked.
it was interesting. Like you see the T1000. He's a scrawny little punk. Well, I mean he's an adult, but either way, and you got Arnold, who's like 6'4", like I don't want to say his weight because that doesn't really work in this movie, but 6'4", big guy, and the T1000 is just manhandling him like a rag doll.
I think it was supposed to be a contrast, right? Like, they asked for Arnie in the first one because, he wanted to be this big, foreboding figure. And then they wanted to make, and I think Robert Patrick's talked about it, how they wanted to make the T1000 faster, sleeker, more dangerous, everything like that, right? Like, Arnie's a tank, and, I don't know a good analogy for a fast gun thingy. What would be a good,
Marksman?
like, one's a jet and one's a tank.
Yeah, there you
Is
go.
that a good
There we go. There we go.
Yeah, making it work.
Yeah. So it's all leading up to something. This is the part where you think that Arnold has been killed because he gets impaled with the giant crowbar, and his light goes out and his system goes dark.
I was really hoping they were going to give Sarah the kill here, to be honest.
Yeah, it was close.
It would have been well deserved, I think. Like, I like that Arnie gets to come back, but yeah, I think she deserved the kill here.
And that's why she only got paid $1 million.
I still can't believe that price difference. Like, I get Schwarzenegger's the biggest action star in the world, but like to have like over a 12 mil difference between your two lead actors, like, man, Linda Hamilton earned her money on this movie. Like, Arnie did a good job too, but like, man, Linda did a fantastic job.
Yeah, no, there was I mean a lot of chauvinism back then, right? So
well, I think it had to do. I was reading it had to do with like Total Recall. The production company paid him way too much for Total Recall, so they couldn't offer him less money for this one. He just had a good agent back in the day.
yeah, right.
Why is the T1000 torturing her? Like, he can imitate her voice. He does imitate her voice. He can look just like her.
Well, he typically, like they said, does not copy somebody unless he's killed them.
I forgot. No, I thought it was just touch.
He can mimic anything he touches, and he's like, great, what happens to her? Typically, the subject being copied is terminated.
Mm-hmm. It actually doesn't make any sense why she lived.
Yeah. I mean, she only got a hole in her shoulder and a hole in her leg. She's fine.
Yeah, I guess. But, he should have killed her. Now, can we talk about some of the alternative endings?
Yeah, I've drawn a blank on which one's this one. Which one's this ending?
This is the ending where he comes up the chain thing and then shoots him.
Yeah, I know that part stayed the same. It wasn't until the prologue or the epilogue that they
Oh,
changed.
is that all that's changed?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so this always happens in every version?
Yes.
Okay.
No, like the
I was really hoping there was a version where Linda got the.
no. But
Really?
like there was the ending where it's the black highway and it's like we're charting into unfamiliar territory now, blah blah blah. I think that's this version.
Yeah.
Then they have another version where in the special edition where it shows adult John, like you saw him in the beginning movie from the future, with Sarah, who's now a grandmother, and John with his son, and they're at that park and they're
Oh, so
alive and
you
they're
actually
okay.
get to see them save the day, eh?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of ambiguous in this one. Like,
Yeah. With the black highway thing, it was totally ambiguous. But yeah, I love the scene where the T-1000's melting in the molten steel there, and he turns into everything he's transformed into.
that scream when he falls into the lava. I don't even think it's the Wilhelm scream, eh?
No, I can't remember what they said they used for that. I did hear, but I can't remember now.
It feels out of this world.
Fun fact: the sound of him getting shot and that bloop sound that it keeps making was a microphone getting dipped into yogurt.
In the yogurt.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a good way to ruin a good microphone.
I would think so, but I figure he can afford it.
They could probably afford it, yeah.
Just like in Twister, the sound of the tornado was camels.
Camels?
Yeah.
Why camels?
I don't know. Apparently they moan well.
Huh. That seems like a strange thing.
So, like, as you know, 99.9% of sounds in movies are added afterwards. So, yeah. And then there where you can totally tell his arm is, pinned up behind him there.
Does Arnie melt himself the same way in every edition?
Yeah. Which I always laugh because he gets on the chain that goes into the molten steel that melts metal.
Yeah.
But the chain does not melt.
Why is the chain okay? Yeah. This chain is impervious.
I am not a metallurgist, so I don't claim to know what metal can melt at different temperatures than others, but
I feel like you could have just gave him a kick in there and it would have done the trick, right?
I feel it wouldn't have been dramatic though. Slow motion going down, sad music playing, John's crying,
the thumbs up.
The thumbs up.
Yeah.
There's still one more chip and it must be destroyed also.
Oh, we have to put Lassie down.
Yeah, nobody liked Lassie anyway.
Old Yeller? I have to put Old Yeller down?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, this is more of Old Yeller than Lassie, eh?
Yeah.
Explain to me why he can hold on to the chain and be lowered down into the lava, but he can't self-terminate himself.
Yeah.
Like...
He's setting himself up to be murdered, so...
He's telling you how to murder him.
Yeah.
And he's holding on to the thing that is going to lower him into the mechanism that he dies in.
That's like handing somebody a gun, putting their finger on the trigger for them, and then telling them to pull the trigger, but I don't want to commit suicide.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can't kill myself, but here's everything to kill myself. Yeah. And he gets onto the chain himself, even.
Yeah. So, anyway,
I
think we're wrapping up.
Yeah. Are you waiting for me to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say it.
What? I don't know what you're waiting for.
I don't know.
Oh.
I guess we'll find out.
Huh. So, Corey.
Yes, sir.
You have any thoughts to finally wrap up this movie?
I do, but I feel I can't say them.
Final thoughts, Corey?
Oh, there we go. See, all is right in the world. Final thoughts are very, very, very black and white. In my opinion, the greatest movie of all time. And I mean,
I am shocked by this revelation.
Obviously, Corey. There are dramas and there are period pieces and there are other movies that are better movies. But this movie, like I said, just was such an integral part of my life. And I can watch this movie every single day and not be bored.
What makes a movie better?
That's the thing. Art is subjective.
Yeah.
So
Like, this movie's got drama, it's got tension, it's got action, it's got a little bit of comedy.
yeah,
Uh, it's got surprising amount of heart. To
yeah,
be honest, like it's got a lot more heart than this movie deserves to have. Like John is like a beautiful character in this movie.
yeah,
Guess so. Like I don't think innocent is the right word, but he's just got such strong ideals in it, and it feels very authentic.
yeah. I think it's funny is you can tell like how no movie is filmed front to back, and so at the ending here was one of the first scenes they shot. So he's actually younger here than he is in the middle of the movie, and it shows like his voice actually cracks a little at the end here. No, don't go, and all that stuff, and his voice is cracking. And then later on, like you hear his voice is like better sounding, and
Hmm.
so it's kind of funny.
I did have not watched this movie that many times to ever notice that. I always thought his voice was cracking just because,
Emotion.
yeah, he's putting down his dog.
Oh, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. So yeah, so
Do I bother asking your star rating?
it's out of 5, right?
Yeah, that's what you've been doing.
11.
11 out of 5, eh?
Yes.
That
I was never really good at fractions.
it's like 0.1 casualties, right?
Yeah.
Uh, I gave Guardians a 4 Indiana Jones out of 4, like a Last Crusades. And I got a hard time, like, I don't know if I want to give it a 3.75 or if I want to give it a 4. I feel like giving it anything less than what I gave Guardians is a disservice, but I think I kind of jumped the shark by already giving a 4. You know what? I'm just gonna give it a 4. Guess
4.5.
no, it's not. It's a solid Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade for me.
There you go. That's fair.
Well, as you were talking earlier, Corey, we're going to change things up next week.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have some fun with these. I think so.
I the movie reviews, as much as I enjoy them, I don't think it gets the creative juices going as something like that as much. Like I'm really excited about it too.
Yeah, like I mean, as you guys know, we don't exactly hide it. We tend to wander off the beaten path 80% of the time during our reviews. So to
But
actually have a review where we can go off the beaten path a little and talk about more than one movie at once, yay.
I feel like we were like the most on track with this movie out of
There's
all.
so much to say. Where would you be without my fun facts?
They certainly were fun, that's for sure.
Except for the helicopter guy dying. That was terrible.
Yeah, that's still amazing to find out that he did that on his own. Because
Yeah.
I thought that I thought that was the case, but
Yeah, if anybody gets a chance, I'd say pretty much everybody in the dog has seen this movie. But if you get the chance, watch the movie with commentary. Make sure it's Cameron doing it. It's outstanding.
Nick's never seen it.
But Nick's not even an adult yet, so that doesn't count.
I've seen most of the movies in my life that I've seen before I was like an adult.
Yeah, but this generation isn't that tied into movies anymore.
Well, this is true. This is true.
I mean, to join this generation, I am so excited for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Yeah.
So I'm totally going to the theater to see that.
Like I feel like we've already had that though, with Willy's Wonderland.
Yeah, well, and that's because that was supposedly a Scott Hawthorne script that was sold and given to someone else to work with. So
I
supposedly,
don't know who's got Hawthorne.
that's sorry, the creator of Five Nights at Freddy's. So
I kind of assumed that.
yeah. Anyway, that's off topic, like I said. But so yeah, next week, Should It Die is what it's going to be called. And since we're doing this 1 and 2 here, we're going to talk about the Terminator movies. Should they die? There is talks right now of a reboot, and you'll hear our opinions about it next week.
Okay. As always, keep your stick on the ice.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on social media. You know all the places. Have a good one.
Bye.
Is that it?